not my name.
What? Oh no! Well, hello
Right.
everyone. For some reason it has the wrong name on here. I did put it in the title though above. I think it's got your right name in the title above.
I think that's the fun stuff of like it's not only a name, people. It's you are so much more, so much more than just a name.
So I want to welcome a very, very special guest. Her name is Safra, and she is very, very important to me. I was in my lowest times when I became homeless. I had just left the abuse. I had just lost any contact with my children. And when I say I was at my lowest, I was at my lowest. And she was there for me. She's helped me get through this. I think I've taken almost pretty much every one of her courses and gotten the Blu-ray healing certificate. And I mean, she has pulled me up in so many ways, and I am just so grateful for her. So I want to introduce her to you and let her tell you, if I can talk today, her story. Go ahead, Safra.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much, Shelly. It's definitely been a journey, hasn't it? It's been a journey, the ups and the downs, and the finding ourselves in the mess that we didn't even know we existed within, and then pulling ourselves out of it and growing into our power and everything that comes along with it. And Shelly, she knows this, but I'm going to share this with you guys as well. There are certain spirits out there, certain beings out there that hold a spark within them, even if they're not aware that they hold that spark within them. I mean, all of us have a spark that's ready to be activated at any time, but some of us have it there. It just needs to be awakened. And Shelly, you were one of those people. All you needed was you just needed the person to believe in you. I think that's really what it came down to, right? You know, we all have our power. We all have these incredible abilities, and she took those moments of those periods and just grew herself into just levels unfathomable 5 years ago. I mean, really, you know, it's just amazing. It's amazing to watch the processes happen. It's such an honor to be able to be a part of some of these processes as well, and to be able to support in that growth of your spirit and your being and your mind and your body and your soul all in one and intertwined. And I'm really glad you started that way, because I'll give you a real quick of who I am and what I do, and then we're going to go into just a little bit about you and your power and your abilities and your absolute amazingness that we seem to forget that we have because we're so busy being stuck in a complicated, overwhelming, has to be difficult, has to be scary world when really, really, it's all an illusion. Oh, it really is. So my name is Safra, not Sandra, Safra. Safra the healer. I am no longer here on Facebook. I am now found on Telegram. My Telegram group is Truth Speak with Safra the healer, and we can share a link in a little bit for that. And my website is www.safraturner.com. I've been in the healing biz for over 25 years now. Love the work I'm doing. It's been a part of me from the moments I can remember. I have been called into this. I don't even know if you could call it a choice. Everything is a choice, but it was really such a strong calling that there was something I couldn't push off. For many years, I was doing it on the side. I was, tinkering here and a little bit there and playing magic there and, working with interdimensionals there and stuff. But really, 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 when the calling got too strong, I dropped everything. I left my corporate work. Back in the day, back in my old life, in the previous round, I was working in a lot of global work in government, politics, non-governmental organizations. My way of saving the world, quote unquote, was through government and through lobbying and through organizational management, and so that was where I focused my work. I was also a frontline soldier in the Israeli military, served on the border of Lebanon. So I've definitely seen a very well-rounded view before I found myself where my deepest of callings and my truth was, which is in the healing, in the bridge building for humanity and growing us into powers we never knew existed within us. And Shelly knows what I'm talking about here. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that said, when it comes to you and these days, obviously as time goes and as we grow and as we evolve, our work shifts. And the past. I'm just going to give it back.
No,
that's fine.
You're back.
We're back. I have to be very careful about my language or we're not going to be back very long. So basically these past 2 years have definitely been an evolution in the work that we're doing. And as a collective, as humanity, as the individual that you are, whoever you are that is watching this now or comes back in a day or a week or a month or in Shelly's memories and watches this, you are an infinite being contained within a body. You are a soul that came down here to experience this 3D life, this physical, third dimensional, the physical of depth and height, right? That's the width, depth, height. That's 3D. That is our physical dimension. So when we come down here into this body, right, we were just like, yeah, I'm only human. Oh, I've been hearing that a lot. I'm only human. I'm only human. Boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about that. I'm not going into it all here, but I'm going to tell you one thing about that. You're not. Because if you were only human, you'd only be an adjective. You would only be in the hue of man. You'd be in the likeness of man. You'd be like this little thing with your head down, like, oh, I'm only human. I can't. No. You're an infinite being with infinite potential and infinite possibilities that all lie within yourself. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why today. That's what we're going to talk about. And I lied to Shelly, and I'm sorry. I told her I was going to talk about, like some other topic, and we are kind of, but this is so much more important because right here and right now, in these very moments of human history, we are waking up to our power. We are seeing the truth of who we are for the first time since I don't know when. I don't know. I wasn't around. None of us were around when the last time that happened. This is our opportunity right here, right now, to grasp on, to know, to recognize, to be aware, and to figure out how to know our power. So I'm going to give you some of that stuff today. Okay? Here's the thing. We have a tendency to live under a set of rules of law, all right? It's called man's law. You could call common law, civil law, I don't know, whatever, religious law, this and that and the other. And we believe within these laws, within the confines of these laws and the bounds of these laws, as well as specific laws that we have developed in our science and mathematics over the centuries, we believe that we are bound into a certain set of rules and laws. And within that certain set, that is overseen by, you can say, the science and the math and the man, basically, we have to operate. The thing of it is that in science, we know maybe 0.000000001% of what really is. In the math, how much math do we really know? Yeah, we know some, don't get me wrong, but even the number 0 wasn't even invented until the Muslims came around in the late 7th century in the Arabian Peninsula. And that, honestly, algebra didn't even come around until, the 11th century, something like that? And I'm just talking about math that for us these days is fundamental, science that for us these days is fundamental. We know that much in an infinite multiverse of infinite parallels of what really exists out there. And then in that, we get ourselves stuck in the confines of social conditioning, of this is how it is, of money doesn't grow on trees, right? Or of you have to work hard in order to succeed crap, or it doesn't just appear, right? Or you're not good enough, or you don't deserve to be loved, or you're not worthy, and all the stuff that comes along with it. All of us have been there. All of us have done that. All of us in our own way, on our own personal journey, in the own manner that we've gone through these experiences. Hello, cat. Cats love energy. Animals love energy. I've like met this cat one time. He like won't leave us alone. It's funny. So we have this notion, and this notion, I'm not going long into this at all because I have way other interesting things to talk about, but this notion has been created through our systemic foundations of society. There are some, and I'm not going to go into these because it's too much for some people right now. Some of us are ready for it. Some of us are not. If you want to know more, and if you're interested in any of the stuff I literally just talked about right now, reach out to me. I have some free offerings, free courses. I do a free course to for the third dimensional version of growing into your power, of understanding yourself in the natural order of things, and then recognizing where you can let go of the conditioning and doing it in legal and lawful manners, because here on earth we do a lot when it comes to the legal systems and stuff. This is brilliant. It's basically escaping the matrix the right way. Dropping the matrix. So I'm happy to offer that here in for all of you guys, if you would like a free program to get yourself started into recognizing your power here on earth. But the short of it is, through all of our major systems and all of our major governing systems, we have found ourselves in a place where we are completely disempowered. Not by force, but by lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. We don't know that a miracle is nothing more than a manipulation of energy. For example, when we pray for miracles, right? And how often do we pray for miracles? Make the miracle. It's that easy, all right? All you have to do is recognize the power of you. And how do you recognize the power of you? Understanding, standing under, being aware of, one, who you are in the span of time and space, but more so where you are within the natural order of things, within the natural law, within universal law. And I'm going to go through one aspect of universal law because this is where our power starts and stops. As above, so below, as within, so without. I am going to assume, though I have not been on the popular social media outlets lately, that this is probably getting close to being a dead horse at this point. I'd like to believe, I hope believe, right? That like we've heard this so many times, like we're not even listening to that sentence anymore. Here's the thing. The thing about as above, so below is the fact of the matter is that that which exists anywhere in the heavens, anywhere in the universe, God, creator, all that is, whatever you want to call what you consider a higher power, energy, whatever you want to call it, right? What exists up there as above exists down here, so below. Earth is a simple manifestation of the magic that exists within the universe. And as within, so without. What is going on inside ourselves is what portrays out in the world that we live in. When we see chaos around us, guess why? Because we are not serene within ourselves, because we've lost ourselves, because we've forgotten the power that is within us. And so rather than the world around us be one filled with abundance, so much abundance, there's no such thing as scarcity. They try to get you to believe it is. There's no such thing as scarcity. No such thing as scarcity. But that abundance, if we have that abundance within ourselves, if we are aware of the abundance, the infinite abundance that exists, then therefore there too outside in the real world would be fully abundant all the time. But we believe in scarcity. We believe in the fear. We want the fear. For whatever reason, we've been conditioned and we really default to it, right? We want that fear. And so the world outside is a bit scary for a lot of people. Not for me, because I know who I am, right? Not for Shelly. She knows who she is. But there's a fear. It's an overarching thing. That's the as within, so without. If we're not balanced inside of ourselves, then how can the world around us be balanced, right? But at the same time, when we know who we are, where we are love, where we are one, we respect, we observe, we don't divide, play those games, play those low vibrational games, then what happens? The world around us becomes that too. You will see it in the people that surround you. Hello, cat. You will see it in the people that surround you. You will see it in the opportunities that arise around you. You will recognize it in the simple notion of that feeling inside of you of the roar, I am lion, hear me roar, because you know who you are. So let me go to an actual point, because I have so many things I want to talk about, right? But the as above, so below is essential. When you begin to recognize that aspect of yourself, then the next aspect of yourself, and this is the part that I want to share with you right now, is so easy to work with. Because we realize and we recognize that we are one with the universe, what is above exists below, and what is within exists without, then so too, right? And we recognize, let me go a little bit further into that and state that this is an aspect of universal law or Gnostic law. These are laws that are immutable. Immutable means unchanging laws, unchanging rules. Universal law is simple. Across the board, just for anybody that had a difficult time understanding this, because I know I did over the years, and then one day you're just like, oh, got it, right? This is the simplicity of universal law. It applies evenly to every single being, thing, in existence throughout the entirety of the universe, evenly. Unlike man's law, that's the law that we live under here, which does not apply evenly. It might apply to me, but it wouldn't apply to Shelly. It might apply to the person in Afghanistan, but it wouldn't apply to the person in Portugal, right? That's man's law, not even. It's based on man's version of what is moral in that period of time, and what they consider conscionable based on our opinions of our society and how we do. In universal law, it's across the board. So as above, so below, this is universal law. I mean, this is one of those things you're just like, it is what it is. And I'm pretty cool with that. I am pretty cool with that. But how do we bring this into our reality, into our experience? Where so many of you now that are if you're working with Shelly or you know Shelly or you know me or others like us in the work that we do, right? A lot of you are in the point where you're waking up to your power. You're recognizing there is so much more, so much more. But you're just like, okay, but how do I get from point A to point B? Because I don't see a bridge. Like, what? Right? And that's where a lot of us get stuck. Where's the bridge? How do we bridge that gap? How do we get from that point A to that point B? Well, first of all, there's a whole lot of ways. A whole lot of ways. But I'm going to give you, first of all, two simple rules. Simple rules. These are the rules. This is what will get us out of the quagmire that we're in the world right now and bring us back into our state of balance as a balanced mankind. But also, this will also bring you in your own life, in your own experience, from the beginning to the end. This is how you start bridging that gap. First and foremost, the rule of one, or the law of one. One energy, one life force. That as above, so below, right? That alludes to the fact that there is oneness in everything. And that oneness, okay, that oneness is you being a portion of a whole. And that whole is a part of you so deeply and so strongly that by you setting the intentions, by you knowing that you can tip the scales or shift the balance or change that person's life or make a ripple or make a wave, you do. Because you are a part of one. One is a part of you, as above, so below, as within, so without. And as one, you are the one. You, little old me, the one. A lot of people love to come out and be like, but how can I save the world? I can't even save myself, or this and that and the other. You don't need to save a world. You take care of yourself. The rest will follow. The rest will follow. Because when you have gone and done that work on yourself to reconnect you to the power of who you are, not this disconnected version, which we're going into right now, of the ego-based version of who you are, but the true power of who you are, when you've done that work, guess what? That's naturally going to trickle out and sprinkle out and go out into the rest of the world. Whatever, however, doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. You don't need to worry about changing the world. You need to worry. Don't even worry. Think about. Give yourself the grace to heal thyself. Know thyself, heal thyself. That right there is what's going to change our world for the better, for the beautiful. More so, though, when you make that connection, Again, this is stuff that some people can fathom and some people are not yet in the space to, so I'll explain it to you like this. When you start the journey, when students start the journey with me, right? When you start the journey with me, we're coming from a place where the absolute first thing that we focus on is healing your emotions, your external to your internal, healing the body and the mind. I don't even go into the spirit. I mean, we barely touch on it in the very beginning. The beginning is bringing yourself back into the state of you, of balance, of worthiness, of self-love, of recognizing or becoming aware that you've just become disconnected, and now you're bringing yourself back to you. Once you reach that point, everything else gets pretty simple. All of a sudden, you can start manifesting. All of a sudden, you can start making magic happen. All of a sudden, you can become like an incredibly awesome healer. All of a sudden, you stop being scared of all of those things that would have frightened the bejesus out of you 5 years earlier. Because you've become connected to who you are, and you recognize the power of yourself, and you no longer need to defer to your fears, whatever those fears are, or defer to your inadequacies, whatever those inadequacies are. Or as they say in the movie, A Wrinkle in Time, to you, I give the gift of your faults. We find our faults and we take them and we find exactly how they are meant to support us in growing into the highest potential of who we are. Those things that when you were in school and they would say, no, you're a crappy student because you're not smart enough because you can't focus. And all of a sudden, here's that person that couldn't focus doing 10,000 different projects in 10,000 different ways successfully, right? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The gift of your faults. The gift of your faults. There's no such thing. I don't believe in negative faults. I'm sorry. I don't follow into that mindset. That doesn't make sense to me, because every single thing that you have that makes up you as who you are is a part of your power. Why disempower that? Why take that away from you, right? That's incredible stuff. So going now into this, right, and recognizing we had that universal law, and then we have the man's law, which is, whatever we decide in this part of history or this day and age is right for us or wrong for us, and it's not applied across, right? It's not universally applied across all of humanity or universe. So within that is kind of where we lose ourselves. Why and how? I'm bringing in, I know I'm talking like law here, but it's really, believe it or not, this physical and the spiritual is really coming together with this stuff, okay? Because what they do and what they have done for a number of millennia now is there has been an assault on our ego, on who we are, and an assault on the physical being that we are, into training and conditioning us to believe that our body is what it is, and that's it. We live, we die. When we die, we're gone. I mean, yeah, there's a heaven, but oh my gosh, when we die, gosh, how much do we cry? How much do we mourn for our dead? 107 years old, lived an incredible life, and when they pass on, what do? We mourn. Why? There is the beauty in the mourning process of the missing that of what they were and appreciating their lives. But what we're missing is that when our body, the vessel of our spirit, of our soul, has ended its time in the physical, that infinite that we are continues forever. It's a never beginning and never ending, because we are a part of one, all that is God, creator, or energy. All right. So we have this fear of death that has been put into our heads, into our minds, for centuries upon centuries upon centuries, millennia upon millennia upon millennia. I can go back at least 6,500 years, at least, if not further, because I don't know all of human history and all history, obviously, at least 6,500 years, and say they've started taking away our power from us by creating hierarchies, power structures. In the modern day, you have educational systems, you have governments, you have this money game stuff going on. You have the science industry, not science, the science industry. All of these things that tell us that we don't have power. We have to get information from outside. We have to go out there. We have to be like this. We have to do it this way. And it's very disempowering. But this comes on thousands and thousands of years of building up to this point. What happened was the whole that we are, mind, heart, higher self, and of course our physical body that houses us here in this present moment, right? The whole of who we are was separated. And we were trained and conditioned to believe that the mind was all that we were. Mind, ego. Ego is a beautiful thing, though most of us are taught that it's don't be egotistical, don't be egocentrical, don't, you know, you're such an egoist, right? Like that's not what it is. That's a mind trick that's been played on us. But what happened was our egos, that portion of us, was given full reign and left unchecked. In other words, where we used to know that we were spiritual beings having human experience, right? Where we had all the power in the world, that there's nothing that can stop us, that a person like me can look at the sky and move disappear a cloud, or bring a cloud, or bring rain, or bring wind, or whatever it is, and that's like a normal Thursday for me, right? Like it's totally normal in my book. Most of us don't realize that because we've allowed our egos to lead, to guide, to take over, and then to get really freaking scared. All right? And the scared ego is where we are now. The scared ego is also where we are with our identities, because we believe we are our egos. So as a child, right? Shelly, I'm sure, has heard this 1,000 times because it's one of my favorite things to say. As a child, right, when we were asked, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of you said, I want to be happy? I want to be in infinite oneness with the universe. I want to connect with the depth of the trees and the root systems and the knowledge that Gaia has around us. They'd look at you like, psh, what's wrong with you, you crazy freak, right? No, you want to be a fireman. You want to be a policeman. You want to be a president. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a newspaper carrier, thrower, outer person, right? A job, an ego-based identity created for you, for your ego, so that you believe that this is somewhere, somehow, we are duped into believing that this is who we are. Who am I? I mean, if I want to play the ego game, I'm a healer. I'm a mother. If I want to go further than that, though, I am universe. There is nothing out there that is not within me. That is me. I am that. That is one. And in the law of one, we are all a part of that. And so what we do is we get stuck in our ego minds. We don't know who we are. We get disconnected from ourselves, creating every emotional aspect that you could think of under the sun. Any depression, any anxiety, any panic, any of these things are all run either by our own egos, just afraid and taking over our own abilities to recognize our balance within ourselves, or played upon by external forces on our ego, such as the global pandemic, for example. It's an external force telling us we need to be afraid, and so our egos go into overdrive and we become afraid because we've given our ego so much power that we've separated from the power of who we really are, which is mind, body, spirit. All right? The heart, the mind, the higher self. When those are in balance, that ego, which is at this moment an enemy for most of us, and anybody that suffers any emotional health issue is going to be under that. Anybody that has suffered extreme ups and downs in any aspect, ups and downs, recognize this. I'm saying that the extreme joys as well as the extreme lows. This is all ego. This is all ego. Within balance is where the true self lies. Within balance, within observation. If you find yourself vigilante, like, oh, gung ho forward, you know, oh my gosh, we're gonna like take down the world, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. You're working an ego. It's great, it's cool, I'm all for it, because like right now, you know, this is kind of what we need, but we're still working an ego. When you're in the space where you are observing the state of everything around you in your own life, in the external, you know, world around us, and in the entirety of the world, when you are in the state of observing, you see it, you're aware of it. Some things are lighter, some things are darker, some things are heavier, something, but you are in observation about it. You're not judging it. That's when you know that you've gotten into the space of beginning to connect back in to your power, yourself, and who you are. That's an amazing space to be in, by the way, as well. I think it's helped a heck a lot of us in the past couple of years. I think it definitely has. So the work that I do, right, is to support bringing you back into that state of your power. Many of my clients have started with me in the very beginning of the journey, where it is literally simply just coming into this space of saying, I'm in an abusive relationship and I don't know what to do, or you know, I'm trying to find myself and I don't know where to go, or I'm so sick of dealing with all of this PTSD. What do I do? Right? That's where we start. All of us start somewhere. All of us start somewhere. I've dealt with anxiety. I've dealt with the PTSDs. I've dealt with the depressions. I've dealt with all that stuff. Like, I am no exempt person in any of this stuff. We've all been there, right? But we start at that point, reconnect to ourselves. And as we journey together, as for those that go through with me, it almost never stops at the beginning. Many of my students have gone through the entire process until they've reached the point where they don't need me anymore. That's when I've succeeded, by the way. When you don't need me, when you don't need to learn from me, when you have nothing more, no, I take that back. Nobody needs to learn anything from anybody. But when there is nothing more for you to gain from me other than our walking together on this path that we call life and this journey into our highest of selves, that's success. That's success. And I have watched people like Shelly and numerous others. I've thousands and thousands of clients. Some have come just for healing. Let's get a healing session here and there, or let's do some, though, like Shelly, have come in from the very beginning and worked their way up step by step by step, learning not only to reconnect to themselves, to the divine masculine and feminine within themselves, into their ability to manifest, reaching up higher into their ability to connect with all of the elements, to connect with the universe around them, to connect with God so deeply that the connection doesn't need to be done in church or synagogue or the mosque, but it can be done right here, out in nature, just stopping for a moment, right? And then we move up and up and up into the space where all of a sudden we're connecting in different dimensions. We're working on interdimensional beings. We're working with interdimensional beings. We're working in arenas where all of a sudden we're shifting the literal fabric of reality as we see it. And in those that work with me in the top level, and many get there, and Shelly's next in line, she's on her way too, right? When we reach that top level, at that point, you are literally supporting the planet while knowing your power, yourself. A lot of these ladies have started their own businesses, in the spiritual entrepreneurship. A lot of them have found themselves, they found their path and their direction through the work that we've been doing. But once you reach that point, that stuff's cool, but that's just a part of the process at that point, because we're talking about life-changing work. We're talking about bringing our entire, collective into balance again, right? Our work is not for ourselves only. That work that we do within ourselves that I talked to you about in the very beginning, turn within, look within, work on yourself, do it within, right? That plays out. And so here, as we're reaching that level of our warriors, these are our light warriors that I'm talking about now. They've gone through a series of learning and of, I don't even know what you call it, the steps to mastery, the path to mastery, right? They've gone through numbers of trials and tribulations on their own along the way, through the work, through this and that and the other. And at some point, it's just like, like I said, we can bring the rain on Thursday. Friday, let's have the sun come out for a little bit. And Saturday, let's take down the matrix. All in a week's work. All in a week's work. Because at that point, you're going to recognize your power. And you're going to recognize that your power comes in that observation that you're holding on to. There's no judgment. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. There's no judgment. And the reason there's no judgment is because light and dark, literally, think about this for a second. If we can bring ourselves into the space of non-judgment, all of this ended yesterday. All of this. What is the stuff that we consider evil or whatever? What is it, right? Bring it down to the bottom line. If we're looking at frequencies, let's say, okay? Let's say darkness is lower frequency, lower vibration, okay? Light is higher frequency, higher vibrational. And as we work our way up the scale, we feel lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. As we work down the scale, we feel darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. Evil, quote unquote, is nothing but being further from the light. Why would I judge anything that is somewhere on that spectrum? Why? What's the point? Rather, how about love? Throughout the entirety of the spectrum, be that truth, be that compassion, be that love, and be that observation, so that we can support those that got stuck in the darkness to kind of wade their way back out again. Seems to make sense to me. And it seems to make sense under universal law of non-judgment. So I'm going to say I'm going to be like on a roll on this stuff here. When we're judging one another, no matter where we're coming from, I don't care if you are the strongest light worker in the world, I don't care if you are the highest wizard in the world, or whatever it is, if you're judging, you're playing an ego. Game over, game lost, period. It's not a question. It's not a state. It's a statement. It's a fact. And so when we choose, right, to step into the reconnection of who we are, reminding ourselves that we are not just this ego, but this incredible, amazing being, reconnecting ourselves to the oneness of universe under natural law, under universal law, which is across the board for every single thing in existence in our universe, no matter what. We are our power again. And when we are our power again, all of a sudden, nothing becomes unfathomable. All of a sudden, I might be going out on a limb here and freaking some people out, but when you watch things like those Marvel movies, you know that you actually have the same abilities as them. And you can make it happen, and you can prove it over and over and over again. Because when you are in your power, that stuff is no longer superhero magic. That is who you are. It is you, and you are it. Our world is a world full of potential. The reason being because as without, so within. We too are full of potential. That world is full of potential, so are we. Give yourself the opportunity to step into that potential. However that may be for you. For some of us, we learn on our own. I was a lone learner for a very long time before I started taking on coaches and working in with higher level teachers and gurus and masters and all of that kind of stuff. I was on my own path for many years, right? Some of us, it works that we find someone that we connect with immediately. As long as you understand one thing, nobody but you can grow you into your power. People like me can maybe show the way, maybe we could share some things that you might not have known. Maybe we could trigger some awakenings in you. Maybe we could do some really awesome healing, whatever. And maybe we can give you knowledge that you forgot that you had somewhere in there and reawaken it within you. That's what the good ones of us, can do. We are not the ones that make you grow into your power. You're the one that does that when you're ready. So if you want to do it on your own, you do it on your own. If you want to find a Shelly or a Safra or a Kristen or a whoever out there, then you find that Shelly or Safra or Kristen, whoever it is that you find yourself vibing the best with. You always trust yourself because your truth comes within you, right? Shelly knows what she's talking about. Good person to listen to. But if Shelly is listening to me and she's like, Saf, all right, totally cool, because her truth is hers. It's not my place to judge, nor is it my place to decide. She knows that. I know that. You know that. So your path to your power is in the way that is going to work best for you and the way that aligns for you. Learning to turn within yourself, standing in the space of observation, non-judgment, no matter what. Even on the things that we are taught to believe are the worst of the worst. And there are many worst of the worst. I know. I've been in this world a long time. I know it's out there. But it's not going to help you to judge it, right? It's not going to help. That's just going to bring you to their level. What's the point? And my goal is to bring us up to this level, not down to that level, all right? Your awakening process belongs to you, and it's your own process. There's nobody that can do it for you. We can support you along the way, and we do. We're always here to do that. My programming, if you wanted to come over and see, the stuff that I offer, you're welcome to do so. I'm not like Shelly was kind of shocked because I was like, I'm not even sure I really want to sell anything, I'm not in the place right now. Right now is our space of awakening, right? Go to my website. You can see things that I have, available on there. If you want to reach out to me for to get to know me, I love meeting new people, right? I'm always here. But the whole thing right now is that our processes, our paths are so powerful. We are in such a strong, incredible moment in human history right now. Mankind's history, global history, universal history almost, right? What we're doing now is rippling. It's rippling out all across the universe, all across the dimensions right now, at least in this universe. Maybe not throughout the entire multiverse. I can't speak for the multiverse, but the fact is in this universe, not even a question, right? This is our time to shine. This is your time to go into your power, whatever that means for you. So long as it is your truth within yourself that is coming out from the space of here, not out there, not out there. All right. I'm going to stop with this because I don't want to go too long. I am known for my tangents. But what I am going to put out there for you is, first of all, if you would like to connect with me, you can connect with me personally on Telegram and through my website. There is a contact form on the website. Telegram is me personally at Safra the Healer. My group, which is a super awesome group, I really love that group. It's a great group. Is Truth Speak with Safra the Healer. Truth Speak with Safra the Healer. And you can find my website at www.safraturner.com. I am super ridiculously approachable, really. Nothing to be like uncomfortable with, like reaching out and being like, hey, I have a question. I don't know if I should ask her. Ask. I'm here for that stuff. That's literally the stuff that I do. And we also, I'm a healer, so obviously I do healing amongst the training and the bringing our sparks into their warrior status. It's amazing work. But I also run a free healing group for COVID healing and for serum effects. So if you're dealing with either that sequence and or the effects of that serum, then you're welcome to join us over on the Telegram group. It's free healing. I'll just drop the link. It's going to be a little bit easier, I think. And then with that, you can always reach out to Shelly to connect if you want, if none of the stuff I just shared with you works as ways to connect with me. You are invited to take the Exiting the Matrix program that I have taken literally straight out of my highest level training, my Light Warriors training. That is the highest of the highest levels that I train. That's where I train our masters into their power, and then we go off and do some really, really cool stuff out in the world. I've taken 3 chapters out of that training, and I'm offering it for free for everyone because this is information. There should never be a cult. A cult, hidden. That's all a cult means. Words are everything, my friends. Should never be a cult. And so I have this information for you that can literally give you exactly the steps that you need to take and give you the information that you need to trigger your mind red-pilled wide open, wide open, for free, because this should be free. This should be available to anyone and everyone across the board. So I'll also drop that link with you, Shelly, and you can share that under the, I don't know, whatever. And that's it. And that's it. So with that, just remember, as above, so below, as within, so without. If you're not happy, if you're dealing with these crazy ups and downs, emotional issues, fears, fear of death, fear of anything, to be honest at this point, because that's what they're tricking us with. That's how they're tricking us, right? All it is simply the fact that you become disconnected from the truth and the power of who you are. That's it. It's not so hard to get back to who you are. You just have to be the one that's willing to take your own personal responsibility in your own personal experience while you're here present on our planet in this lifetime. Think I'll stop now. Think I did all right.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming here. And thank you, Colleen and Nathaniel. They're down. I seen a couple comments. I was just letting them know. I really appreciate this, and I appreciate you, and thank you.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you for all of the amazing work that you are doing and what you've been doing and what you are doing. You know how much I appreciate. I love watching all of our sparks shining the way that we are. I mean, rock on, sister. Rock on. We got this. We got this. This world is going to be super awake by the time we're done. Thank you for the opportunity, Shelly. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, guys.